statement. Now, it was a statement that has elicited quite a debate in the country, forcing the government from the Ministry of Health to the Ministry of Education to the DCI to come and respond. And I saw somebody make a comment on that and say it was just one statement, but you're seeing 15 statements from government, which are yesu, something like that. Let me start with you, Obed. One statement, the kind of response that we've seen is enormous when it comes to responding to this. What do you make of it?
When the bishops actually decided to issue a statement concerning the way the Kenya Kwanza administration is governing this country, I believe they were actually performing their individual rights as not only bishops, but also citizens of the Republic of Kenya. Because they have got every right to question the government. They have got every right to criticize the government, which they actually participated in voting in. And a good government must be tolerant to its people, especially when it's actually the clergy. Both of us here and all of us here can agree that the religious institutions and the clergy played a big role in ensuring that the Kenya Kwanza government actually assumes office. But from where I sit, I actually campaigned for this regime, and the bishops, in fact, somebody said that the deputy president by then was being referred to as Deputy Jesus, because he was actually portraying all characters of a God-fearing man. And it is very unfortunate that the government can now issue controversial and different statements replying to what the clergy actually said. And the clergy was straightforward, and they were specific to their concerns, that the government is lying, the government is not becoming honest with the people of Kenya. And you know, the least that the people expect from a political leader is honesty. Okay.
Now, some of the issues that they actually listed is issues to do with overtaxation, because it states lies and more taxes. We have the issues of human rights violation, you know, stifling freedom of speech, whereby anybody that seems to be, you know, criticizing the government, and I hope that has not gotten into you here, stifling freedom of speech, whereby anybody that is seen like criticizing the government, to some extent, you disappear without a trace. By the time we notice you're not around, you are at the border of, you know, Namanga border. When you come back, you can't speak about it. Issues to do with corruption, because they say corruption doesn't have just to involve money at this particular moment. Even the lies that we're experiencing from the government, promises that have not been fulfilled, this actually amounts to, you know, corruption, a culture of lies, and that is one of the biggest things, because I think that is what has irked the government, and also political wrangles and misplaced priorities. Let me come to you, IBM. One statement has elicited quite a very huge reaction from the government. How?
Let me say that, yes, religion is very important as far as governance is concerned. And we are not supposed to actually be specific on what the Catholic bishop said. We should also ask ourselves what the Islamic body also thinking about what they said. But at the same time, I want to remind the religious leaders that they have very, very, very basic thing for them to do as far as government is concerned is to pray for the day government. They should also give people hope. They should also guide people in matters of faith. So, but I also need to tell them also that everything is science. I know you have asked me something, I'm coming there. Everything is science, starting from the brutal applied sciences to the social sciences. And that's why Professor will tell you here that we have things that we call hypotheses. You disapprove or approve it. So when you come to read things for the nation, being in that status of leadership, you should actually ask yourself whether what I'm saying is truth or not. So that's why you saw the rebuttals from the Senate and other leaders saying that they're extending the term limits for 7 years, and they know whoever sponsored that thing did not succeed. They should have known that. So whatever they talked about Shah, what are they doing? You know, look at what is happening in the church nowadays. So somebody just standing there in the pulpit to disapprove the government, to tell the government people things, negative things about the government, instead of actually guiding them to understand some of the things that are being done. So no, people don't even understand the difference between Shah and Chief. Yes, they said there are so many issues. So the government came in through the ministry, and they say they have actually done something as far as paying the debts to those hospitals that are concerned.
Okay, so
yes?
The Catholic bishops had an issue when it comes to payments, especially to faith-based institutions.
Yes.
The Ministry of Health issued a statement saying
Yes.
of 5 billion has already been disbursed.
Yeah,
we have
did.
over 8,000 institutions that
Yes.
were owed,
Yes.
and 352 of them are actually faith-based.
Yes.
So if the money in totality is supposed to be 19 million.
It's supposed to be that, but the way they priced it is like nothing has happened. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
My point is.
Then what if their argument is,
Yes.
yes, something has happened,
Yes.
but not for the faith-based institutions?
So I think they should have come with figures to prove whatever they were saying.
But the government
So,
has not
but-
even issued a statement to you know, in terms of saying, as far as faith-based institutions are concerned.
Yes, so that
this
is
the number.
that is another thing.
have actually
That's
been
another
paid.
thing I was coming to, because when I talk about science, it doesn't just involve the religious leaders, also the government. So those things that were releasing yesterday were supposed to be released before, way before. And I think there's a time we came and talked about the issue of communication breakdown in the government. So there's some things that are supposed to be done so that they arrest whatever is happening. People are angry. And I'm telling you, even Professor, I heard you saying that you are vying, maybe you want to vie. But in my place in Mount Kenya, the first qualification for me to be voted is anger. I don't want that. So you must be angry with the government so that you can be voted. So they don't even care whether you're educated, whether you can perform, whether you can do road, whether you can do security. They don't care about that. It's about anger. And that's why you see even the social media. When you say something positive, you'll be insulted. For the first time out Kenya, people are insulting each other. Anger, and it is very unfortunate. But the other thing I wanted to come, this is science, all of it. So they're talking about abductions. It's true. So everybody knows it's happening. So the government must act on that. The DCI, the NIS, they must also come in and actually understand where the problem is coming. Because I know they should know what is happening.
Yeah.
So that one is a fact. So we don't need to actually.
So most of the things
100%.
they have raised are issues
Yes.
that touch on the common people, and there are issues that have been raised over and over, especially with the likes of Prof here when they take to the streets. Most of these things that are being said here are not new. We've just not been able to see this kind of reaction from the head of state, from the government itself, I beg your pardon. Prof, what exactly acts, the government to be able to respond to the Catholic bishops like this? And I know IBM says, you see, science, hypothesis, and all that we must be able to prove. But just like I mentioned, these are not new things, especially for somebody like you. You've been on the streets questioning most of these things.
Yeah, first of all, let me just put basis to why the bishops did what they did, and made to justify that it was right to do what they did. 31 years ago, when I was in class 6, the late Pope, John Paul II, wrote a book encyclical called Veritatis Splendor, which it is in Latin. Veritatis Splendor means the splendor of the truth. And that book sets a foundation on the Catholic Church, or just the church roles in teaching morals, that you will know the truth and the truth will set you free. So on this basis, the church has a right to do moral teaching, even if you might think that they just have to pray for them. Because the Pope is infallible, means the Pope cannot be wrong on matters faith and moral. And therefore the church is not wrong. And as a Catholic, I can't stand on this stage and say that the bishops were wrong. Because those are what I would say, people who take care of the doctrine I believe in. So the bishops were right to teach morals to the people. And talking about truthfulness is something that they could miss the details about, I don't know, well, they're not economists, or they should not be taken as economists. But the truth is they are lying in the country. And I've said not just the president or the government, but people are lying. In fact, in the front page of Nation, there's a time they say Kenya is a cheating and lying nation. Cheating from family, isn't it? Cheating at place of work. Even the money being lost. You saw the one of Shah, where someone, Washira, wired 1.68 billion. It was wired to a private, not government, private institutions. Why should private institutions receive money fraudulently, yet only the government is corrupt? So we are talking about a systems overhaul, about a clean a lean system, not just the public sector, but government. So Pope John Paul II was very clear that the church has a role, and he gave guidelines. I think the bishops acted within the guidelines, and I do not think that it's about correcting them. What the church does not believe they are right on is science. But also, you know, there is no clash between faith and science, because it is the very God who gave the faith in us and implanted us with a soul, but it's the very God who gave us reason. So reason and science, reason and faith don't clash. So I could tell you the bishop had to raise that issue. What I like about it, whether you fault them for any reason, let it be a national discussion, and I like the fact that it has hit the headline, which means everybody has to reflect on themselves. Examine your conscience wherever you are, and find out, for you, where do you stand? Are you among those who are lying to us? Or are you among those who are saying the truth? And I can't say, even me on stage, I've never lied. Because there's what we call white lies. There are some lies you say for the sake of a good. For example, if someone comes to this stage and says they want to kill you and you have disappeared behind here, then you ask me, where is Brian? I tell them, you have not seen him. Because actually, I don't have to tell those people the truth because they don't deserve it. If a thief comes at home and tells you, Brian, I've taken everything, money. Do you have any more money left in this house? If you have some money, you can't tell them, go under my bed this moment. Tell them, nothing totally. Because the person doesn't deserve the truth. So what I'm asking, the government need to take this thing seriously and bring all institutions of governance and come together to address the issues, because the issues are very clear. The economic issue they raise, I want to just take 2 minutes to explain that. Do you know why the Star newspaper reported that the worst is behind us? Yet 3,000 companies are shutting down, and these companies have even given their report to the church to be a voice.
3,000 companies are shutting down. Where are you
yes,
getting that from? Like
even G4S has given hundreds of people going home, isn't it? Tiles and carpets. It was there in yesterday's papers. So these are not, I don't say things I don't believe in. I'm an economist, in God we trust. The rest we bring data. So I have data. So in this matter, we have seen, for example, there is no cash transfer moving in the economy. And if you look, one reason is overtaxation, which is killing what's called disposable income and alternative income. Secondly, government is overborrowing. And because the government is overborrowing, banks prefer to give the government loans, but not people. Thirdly, we are having a situation whereby there's a lot of high interest rate. Banks are borrowing at 28, while the government can be given at 18. If you are actually an entrepreneur, how do you go get money? Because money circulates if an entrepreneur goes to borrow money from the bank, set up a business, employs a few people, then money circulates in the economy. So corruption is high. So some people also have moral hazards. They fear going into a system which is corrupt. So the government just needs, instead of hitting at the bishops, like they were responding, those are the reactions, let them go and say, what is the message the bishops are trying to say? By the way, the bishops have even gone to State House to talk to the president with all respect. Even we call them names, that they have been bought, they are, we have called them names. So, senior, on this matter, as my fellow academic, I have a degree in theology. I have a degree in other things, but theology also I have a degree because I wanted to be a priest before. I understand where they're coming from. The bishops have been called names. Why did you go to such house? You receive money. Now when they are telling the president they are lying, why again now we are seeing they are wrong? No, we cannot be people who want to take the truth to be only a truth at this moment. All right. Remember when they went to settle, we said they are sold out, they are sell out. They've been bought. The church has been bought. Now, when the church says lying should stop, we are saying the church is wrong. So when will the church be right? For me, as a Catholic, I believe on the fundamentals of the veritatis splendor, the splendor of the truth. You will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Good.
That's draws me to my next question on the role of the church on this particular issue, because you mentioned that it is this government, that when it came to power, it was actually driven by the church, and the church in most cases, even looking at a little bit of history, has been very vocal when it comes to the issue of governance in the country. To some extent, in the past few years, we've seen like it seemed to have taken a back seat and not, calling out ills that were happening in government and all that. But this right now seems like a different twist to it. I don't know, what would you make of the role of the religious institutions when it comes to keeping the government in check and just making sure that the nation is being steered in the right direction?
Definitely. The church has got a role in keeping the government into check. But what we the people, actually who are also voters and citizens of this republic, are asking of the church is also a bit of honesty. Just as Professor said, that the church has actually spoken about issues that concern each and every citizen in this country. Matters accountability, matters human rights that have been violated, matters concerning the economics of this country. But months ago, young people, the Gen Zs, went on the streets raising the same issues. They talked about the abductions that have been happening on broad daylight, but the church was silent about it. They actually talked about the Adani group and all the issues about taking over the JKIA, but the church was silent about it. Very many young people were shot. Very many young people are missing until today, but the church has not said anything about it. In fact, when the young people were on the streets, the church was trying to intervene and telling the young people, calm down so that we can reach a compromise solution to this matter. Okay. Now, the church has realized that the young people, the Gen Zs of this country, were actually right. They were speaking about issues that were affecting the common mwananchi on the ground. Okay,
so the voice of the church will actually be louder when it comes.
Let me correct. The church issued a statement and stood with the Gen Z. I can even send you that issue press statement. Let me tell you what, on this matter the church is right. The only thing is that matters of the church, remember, we have all these bishops who are called local ordinaries, where everybody has powers within their territory, and before they do that, they have to consult. The Catholic Church issues like hot porridge. You don't just take it and swallow at once. You have to cool it down. And whenever the church has issued this statement, there's been reflections. Even the KCCB has already met and discussed on the matter and deliberated deeply about it. The other thing is, I want to separate these things. Who is the church? The Catholic Church, there is nowhere they were praying in State House to take the current presidency to State House. These were Pentecostal churches that were very much into this. The Catholic Church was never scammed because the church, even me, I'm a Catholic. I was vying for MP in Ugenya. Even my parish priest could not stand behind me, and I'm a Catholic, running against other candidates who are not from Catholic Church. They told me, Professor, hapa unakuja, you come to look for the grace from God. You don't come to look for political power from us. And I can assure you, the Catholic Church could not feature anywhere where they are backing the current administration, not even where they are backing the alternative forces. They just meant that in matters of faith and moral, they are right. Okay. But now, if you talk about the matters of election, democracy, that is not the church's purview. Right. So them not speaking on matters democracy doesn't mean they were quiet. It's just that you speak when you're supposed to speak. No, you could not take a job above your pay grade. You speak like you are a dean. You cannot pick on the version of the VC. The VC is your boss. And whether you like it or not, we should not look brighter than them. Right. So for me, I know the church has spoken at the right time, because this is a time when no one is speaking. When the Gen Z was speaking, there's no need of them also speaking. They know that, okay, somebody is raising the issue. But now they say disquiet. And people are thinking that the broad-based government now is solving the problem. And the church is saying, well and good, but let's go to the issues. Economy is suffering. Abductions are still happening. We thought that broad-based government uniting people who were supposed to bring the people who were supposed to be abducted to be now be treated fairly. Dissenting voices they have raised. I've been arrested 4 times. I've been in Central here 4 times. And now, even disappearing that day, if I didn't record that video, I would have disappeared. So the church is concerned. Somebody disappeared for 32 days. We are aware there's some Nyayo-like Shomba torture houses in Nairobi, managed by those NIS and the rest, because they are the budget is. Right. So I'm trying to say the church must have been well briefed, but they didn't want to tell you the details because they don't want to look they are fighting. Even me, I'm not here to fight the government. Me, I'm just here to also just raise issues and say, well, these are issues that need to be discussed. And I like the fact that now, if they didn't talk Brian, we could not be discussing. And I think that's the role of the church, to give us moral teaching.
All right. IBM, now, what will this statement now mean for the country moving forward, as far as keeping the government in check is concerned from the religious faction?
So I think moving forward, I think the government would also like to probably invite the church and do some partnership in one way or the other, because church is very important as far as the society is concerned.
We're not risking being compromised.
So let me not partnership as in governance. Yeah. So as matters Wajiko concerned. So let me remind you something very important on the old church. let me speak of on the old church, what I used to see them do. So they even used to teach people on matters health. So they call people for seminars, those kind of things. So they educate young people on matters of life. So, but now we want to ask ourselves whether that thing is still there. And if it is there, why aren't they also partnering with the Ministry of Health to teach Wajiko on matters of SHA and SHIF, because Wajiko doesn't understand. He doesn't even know whether to start with the dispensaries, level 5. If they go to the level 5, what will happen if they are not registered? If they are registered, what will happen? So there's a lot of confusion. The same thing with people working in those dispensaries, the one that you call medical officers or practitioners. So they are also as confused as Wajiko. They don't even know how to tell Wajiko. So that's what I'm saying. So the church must also come in positively. So here I started by saying they should start by praying for the government. That one is non-negotiable as far as they know their role in church. Second, they're supposed to criticize the government like they did. So as much as they are criticizing the government, whatever they are doing, they should also ask themselves, what have we done? You have read news here where these people, the pastors and whoever, they are addressing the church, telling them that this is not a government of God. Do you understand what I'm saying? If the church cannot give the common man hope, who will? Are you getting my point? Okay. So yesterday, they said so many things, but they never even talked about the national cohesion. Did they? So we have seen so many cartoons going around, funny cartoons. So those cartoons are dividing people, right in the middle, depending on the authority that speaks for you. So did you hear them actually
let me understand that division.
Yes.
How is that division happening?
So the division, so coming from, especially where we have come from, on matters of impeachment and so forth and so forth. So there is also the issue of health, because people, health matter is. There's also the issue of education, which has not been clarified 100%. So when those matters that touch Wajiko are concerned, you'll have people who understand it, you'll have people who don't understand it, you'll have people who are angry, as I said, and those people, when you go and say that, no, the government is working on SHA, the government is working on the model, education model, so you'll have people insulting you. So you have people posting cartoons there. You have some small funny cartoons going around. But the charge not
but
even...
I've also seen the president using the same to his advantage to some extent. Looking, okay, that's debatable though.
No, I think for him it's maybe the people, if you bring a cup, we bring a spoon or something different. Right. Yes.
So, Obed, let me get your remarks before I take a break on this particular. Now, moving forward, what this particular means for the nation in terms of the place of the church when it comes to political discourse is concerned.
I would first like to react to what IBM has just said, that the church should also take the opportunity maybe to inform people about the current projects that are being done by the government, maybe perform the civic education role to educate the people on such programs, but I don't think that is even the main responsibility of the church, because the government has got this money is budgeted for. The government actually should educate the people on matters concerning any project or any program or any policy that they are planning or intending to implement.
Right.
But, the case that we are having here is that the church has actually lost hope with the government, and they are taking they are now coming into the political sphere and trying to now tell the entire country that this government is not the government that we thought it was. But as you have said, the church too has got its role to play. But I still believe that the church should be honest. Let us have the interreligious council addressing these matters. Let us not have several fractions of the religious community regrouping, giving out statements on their own. Let us have one body addressing one issue, and that can be responded to.
Okay. I do want to take a break, because if I don't, my director, John Kasavuli, is going to swallow me alive. So yes, we take a break here. We will be back in a few. To continue with our conversation here and also touch a little bit on the journey to Addis Ababa. Why is it important for you as a Kenyan citizen? And why? Because the government says to some extent we are facing financial constraints. Is that the case, or is just propaganda? We'll be getting into the details of that when we come back.